Bill, Stretch, thank you all for coming out today to set up your golf course for this intermediate golf lessons. We had two other gentlemen today not able to make it with us. Eddie and David weren't able to make it today. They'll join us for the other lessons. Today we're going to start off with basic principles and basic fundamentals of how to grow from putting to chipping to full swing and all the way to drivers. It all starts here on the putting green. We're going to grow how to aim, how to hold the club, and how to improve our posture when hitting the shots, and it all starts here. So what we're going to do today is, first we're going to talk about how to hold and stand to the golf ball, hold the club and stand to the golf ball, and then we're going to teach you all how to aim, and then I'm going to show you all some drills that I have set up on the putting green to help you become better putters. But the really unique aspect of how I'll teach these string of lessons will be that we will grow from one lesson to the next, and there will be pieces from this lesson that will carry over to the next lesson that'll help us become better chippers and pitchers of the golf ball, and then chipping and pitching will teach us to become better wedge players and iron players, and then once we become better iron players and work on our full swing, we should be able to hit fairway woods and drivers a little bit easier. So what we're going to start off with first is a putter, and we're going to talk about the anatomy of a golf club. Most golfers will hear the term mishit or hitting it solid, and they really don't know what the difference is or where they're hitting the ball in the club face. So I want to introduce you all to the basic parts of a golf club. Everybody knows, especially intermediate golfers, not really beginning golfers, but knows that this metal piece right here is known as the shaft. This rubber piece is known as the grip. This is the club head. The really interesting part is some people don't know the difference between the head of the toe of the golf club, the heel of the golf club, and the sweet spot. It's kind of like a foot. If you would look at your putter head, this is known as the toe. So if you hit a golf ball from about this section and over, that is known as the toe of the golf club, and you hit it off that section of the club. If you hit it off the heel of the golf club like this, it will also make a unique feeling, and it's called heeling the shot, and you will feel a negative vibration on either one of those on a mishit. The middle of the putter club, we call that the sweet spot, and if you hit the ball in the middle of the sweet spot, you'll feel a much more positive vibration on the shot. So the objective, obviously, every time we hit it is hitting a sweet spot, but you still need to know the toe and the heel of the golf club, why we call those. And like I said, if you just look at it like a foot, that should instantly remind you why we call it that. The loft on most putters, most putters that you buy in the pro shop, are going to be about 4 degrees of loft. Now you'll know what loft is, correct? Okay, loft helps get the ball rolling on top of the grass. If you have too less of loft, it pushes it in the ground. If you have too much loft, it pops it up in the air. So it's really important that you have the correct amount of loft. Also, when we talk about setup, when we set up to the golf ball, if we get a little incorrect setup, that will cause the golf ball to pop up or be pushed down into the ground and not really roll as good. So we really want to try to get a correct setup, and we're going to talk about that next. We're going to start with how to hold the club first. Holding the golf club is pretty important, but if you notice, putters tend to be held a little bit differently. Can you all give me any examples of different grips that you may have seen or come across? Okay, so both you all have slightly different putting grips. If you see here, Stretch has his finger running down the shaft. Bill has a little bit more of a traditional grip with an overlap, which is a little bit more common with putting. And Stretch is also interlocking here, which is a little bit slightly different. Just curious, could you give me a grip that you've seen that is different than what you're using right now? Say maybe you've seen on TV, or you've seen a guy that you played with who grips the club differently? All right. Okay. So you're talking about the claw there? All right, the claw grip. Stretch, you have another one? It's
let's see. I think it was the reverse.
Reverse. So flip your hands. Yeah. So take this hand, put it low. There you go. So that would be the reverse. That's also known as left hand low. Mm-hmm. Do you all know why they use those different types of grips?
Well, I'd say most of them. I mean, just whatever they're a lot of them comfortable with.
Well, that has a lot to do with it. Some guys are taught from beginning of golf when they first start to go left hand low. And the reason that this is important, why they do that, because one of the most important aspects to rolling the ball true and hitting it solid is keeping your left wrist flat. So if you can keep your left wrist flat throughout the entirety of your putting stroke, that keeps the club face very, very consistent. And when you hit the ball, it should roll even more consistent. Some guys will do left hand low and roll it and be able to roll it much more with more consistency. Some people use the claw to help go back and go through, to help keep their left wrist straight, but also smooth out their putting stroke. Have you ever heard of the yips?
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Yips?
Probably seen it.
Yeah. When you go back, say somebody's got a 3-foot putt, a real short putt, and they go back and kind of flip their wrists.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's involuntary. They don't mean to do it. It's a muscle twitch, and they can't control it. So guys will search for different grips. This is important to know as an immediate golfer or a novice golfer or an expert golfer, because if you have a traditional putting grip, there are other avenues out there that you can try to help improve the consistency of your putting stroke. But today I want to teach you the really basic beginning putting stroke, the vanilla putting stroke and grip. So left hand will be on the top of the club. And if you notice, the front of your all's grips are flat. And we want your thumbs to run right down the center of that shaft. So your left hand will sit on it just like that. And you want the club to be in your palm, okay? Like that, all right? Now your right hand's gonna come on, but I'm gonna take my right hand on and my left index finger is gonna come out and slightly come over the top of it like that, okay? Very good. So I want all the fingers together like this. Steve?
Yeah.
How you doing, Steve?
Fine.
Yes.
Fine.
You just join in and we haven't
right.
missed too much. So just like we were talking about the putting grip, Steve. If you would take your left hand, put it on the grip putter, and go ahead and sit down on the ground. Good. This is the most vanilla, normal putting grip you'll see. When you put your right hand on, we're going to take your right hand on, and your left index finger is going to go over top of those fingers. And we want to hold it more in your palms. Okay? Okay. All right. Don't worry. So this finger will come off, this hand will come on. Go ahead and put this hand on, keep this finger off. Very good. And this finger is going to sit just over top of that, like that. Very good.
Gotcha.
Okay. And this grip is flat. The reason that grip is flat is because you want your thumbs going down the center of that shaft. Very good. Yeah, that's fine. That's very good. Now, Stretch, earlier you had your finger down, run it down the shaft again like you were.
Yeah.
Go ahead and run this finger down. This is something a lot of guys will feel like it helps them push through the putting stroke. I actually don't like that. The reason being is I think it encourages when you have this separate entity down here, this finger, this digit, and when it gets a little bit more flippy because it adds an extra pressure point. And we want all your hands and your chest and everything to work on the putter as one. We'll get into that in a minute when we get into the putting stroke. But if you have this other finger out, we don't want to do that because that'll encourage a flip through the putting stroke. All the hands will be together, and there'll be no gaps in the grip, and the thumbs will go right down the center of the shaft. So it's pretty simple. There's how we want to hold the club. Also, grip pressure. Can anybody tell me on a scale of 1 to 10 what your grip pressure should be?
I'd say probably maybe like a 3 or 4.
3 or 4 is a good answer. One of the best putters on the PGA Tour, Brent Snedeker, says he wants it to be a 1. So if you get very relaxed with the putter in your hands, very soft, this will encourage a nice smooth putting stroke, no jerky motion. If you get tight and tense, okay, if you get nervous, anxiety sets in. And when anxiety sets in, your arms get tight, and your arms are connected to your biceps get tight, and your shoulders get tight. When all those muscles get tight, all of a sudden you get a fast, jerky motion. And when you get that fast, jerky motion, your putting stroke becomes a little bit more inconsistent. So you're looking to be very soft and smooth with your putting stroke to help and keep your grip pressure soft to help keep the consistency in the shot. Very good. So know how to hold the club? All right. So that's how we want to hold the club. Now this will be slightly different when we get a normal club in our hands, such as a wedge, iron, or a driver. This grip will slightly change, and we'll address that in next week's lesson. But this is how you will hold a putter. Like I said, there are other avenues of how to hold the putter, but when we get into those other avenues, we can talk about the saw grip or the claw grip and the left hand low. But we'll address those later individually. All right. Now the next thing that we're going to talk about is how to stand to a golf ball. All right, and we're going to go over here to some green lines that I have set up for us to address how to aim and stand to the golf ball. Guys, aiming is probably the trickiest part there is to every shot in the game of golf. Your eyes will play tricks on you on how to aim. What I have set up here and what I've learned as a professional teaching is I always used to teach people how to aim out on the driving range. Well, it's so much easier to teach people to aim 3 feet away from the hole and then grow with that, okay? So what we have here is 2 lines. We have this green line and this green line. Now, this green line is going to be known as the ball line, okay? This is the target from the ball to the hole. This is the line between the ball and the hole. That's your target line. That's the ball, the line that the ball is intended to travel on. This line right here is known as your body line, okay? This is how where your body will be aimed, okay? The tricky part is, if you notice, this rod is pointed quite well left of the hole. Can anybody tell me the biggest flaw there is when putting or chipping or driving with aiming? One of the biggest flaws there is?
Feet not lined up right.
Feet not lined up right. Because it's very difficult for people to visually see how to line up. So when I get over these lines, this would be correct, right? Putter head facing the target, your body will be parallel to that. But most people, where their flaw comes in, is they tend to point their body towards the target. And when that happens, their body is pointed to the right. Now here's the funny part, is because when they hit a really good shot, if we step away from putting and they hit a good shot and the ball goes way over here, they think it's really bad, but they just hit a really good shot, right? But then they hit a really bad shot and they pull the ball to the target and they think it was good. So then they're obscured of what's good and what's bad. Does that make sense? So it all starts here. Yes, Stretch, you guys have a question?
No.
No? Do y'all have any questions so far? No? All right. So this is the line that it's intended to travel on, and that's how we want to line it up. If you notice, I have this line on this golf ball, this black line, pointing right towards our target. Okay? I'm going to give you all a few tips from putting to chipping to driving, how you can work on aiming and becoming a little bit more consistent with aiming. And it starts with your pre-shot routine. It starts back here when you're lining up the shot. Your pre-shot routine is important because what this will do is let you come into the shot the same way every time. It doesn't matter if it's a putt, a drive, a chip. You do it the same way every time, and therefore you get used to lining up the same way, gripping the club the same way, and you become comfortable doing it. And you become confident doing it, and that's what you're looking for when you're hitting a shot, is confidence. So when I line up a shot, I step back behind it between the ball and the hole, and what I like to do first is get the club face pointed towards my target, which in this aspect is the hole. So when I walk into the shot, when I begin to walk into the shot, I will point the club face down my target line. Now my body is not on the line. If you guys would come over here so you can see us a little bit better. My body's not on the line, but my club face is pointing correctly, right? Now the next important part is when I step into it, I kind of have to envision a invisible line parallel to that line that I picked, and get everything lined up down that line. Does that make sense? And like I said, this will be the same with the driver, a wedge, putter. Okay, we're going to grow with this every week. So this is very simple to see here, but when I remove these lines, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the next part of lining up without alignment rods. And it's a little bit easier to see close up, but I have a faint line on the ground here. This is a chalk line. This won't do any damage to the green or anything. It'll actually wash off if it rains anymore today. So I have a real faint blue line. This is probably one of my favorite drills to work with because what it allows me to do, and when you set this up, by the way, it needs to be on a flat ground. What this allows me to do is when I get over the ball, I get the putter head lined up down this blue line. What I'm looking to do is roll it down the blue line. Now, I missed the putt, so instantly I should say that I pulled it. I pulled it left. And that is a good indication of what might be wrong with my putting stroke. So when I get over the next one, I should know that I need to get the putter head to travel a little bit more down the line. Now I overdid it, and I pushed it too much to the right. Does that make sense? This is instant gratification that you're doing something right or wrong. And if you're pushing or pulling putts, this is a great avenue to instantly see if you're doing something right or wrong. Pull the next one up. And let's try and make this one a little bit more serious. Very good. So now I rolled it, and it rolled well down the blue line. And this is a little bit of a training aid to help you diagnose what may be wrong with your putting stroke and what may or may not be working for you on your putting stroke. So this is another drill that we're going to go over today. Okay. So any questions on alignment, how to step into the shot and line up to the shot? That's pretty simple, right? And so, but like I said, when you get out on the driving range and you're trying to line up to a target that's 150 yards away, it becomes a little bit more difficult. So this is the simplest way that I learned to teach people to line up. Start at a close target, right in front of you, the hole, right in front of your objective. So you can see it now, but when you get on the range, it becomes a little bit obscured. Does that make sense? Okay. Sure. So we have alignment, we just discussed about. What about posture? That's probably the next important part of setting up to every shot. So we talked about grip, which is important with every shot. We talked about alignment, which is important with every shot. And the next thing is posture. What do y'all know about posture?
Back straight.
Back straight. Okay, so you think good posture, your back should be straight, right? So if you think about like sitting at the dinner table, right? And you're sitting there and you want good posture, you're at a formal dinner and you have good posture, you sit tall. You don't slouch over. Well, you see a lot of people in their golf swings slouch over. It's bad posture. Well, you want good posture in the game of golf for multiple reasons. For your balance, to have a better turn, to have better control. So if you can have better posture and a better base, this will help you make a good putting stroke or a swing to hit the ball in the middle of the club base. If you have bad posture, you have to make heel movements to hit the ball, and therefore it's not very successful. So good posture, let's talk about good posture. If you take your grips again real quick, the first thing that I noticed that Bill did there, what'd you do with your feet there, Bill? So you went from this and then all of a sudden you went like that.
Yeah, balance.
For balance. So is there a specific width that you go? Steve, do you know how far you want your feet?
Shoulder.
What do you think? How far should your feet should be spread apart? Shoulder width?
What, for a putt?
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I'd say a little less than shoulder width.
A little less than shoulder width? You say shoulder width? Stretch, how about you?
A little less than shoulder width.
Okay. Some people will be slightly different, but it should be about shoulder width. It can be a little less, it can be a little more, but it should be about shoulder width. This is going to give you a good solid base to stay very still and give you good balance to react to the shot. Now, the reason I say react is because golf's a sport and you are reacting to a golf ball, you're trying to hit it. And if you do not have a good base, a good athletic base, and good athletic posture, then you will not be able to react to the shot. Let's say you do make a bad golf swing. You have a better chance of hitting a closer to the target shot with good posture than bad posture if you lose control. Does that make sense? Kind of like a second baseman fielding a ground ball. If he's standing up and running after it, he's gonna have a hard time getting to it. If he's in good athletic posture, he can react to it a little bit better and maybe keep it from getting to the outfield. So it's just kind of a thought. So good shoulder width. Okay. Feet shoulder width apart. Very good. Knees will be flexed slightly. So Steve, I can already see in your slacks that you got a slight knee bend. That's good. Stretch and have your knees slightly flexed. Very good. So that's our base. So our feet will be shoulder width apart and our knees will be slightly flexed. Okay. Now the next part is probably the trickiest part. And it's like I said, it's the posture. It's the round shoulder. So if you take your putter, and we're going to sit it down on the ground just for a second. Everybody set your putters down on the ground just for a second. You don't need it. We're going to stand completely erect, and you're going to try and keep your head back and your back flat. Feet shoulder width apart. This is probably the most difficult part. Now, when you bend from the hips, because you all already naturally do this when you grab the golf club, but when you bend from the hips, you want to try and keep all this flat. So you try to arch your lower back and bend over the shot. Your rear end comes out and your chest comes forward. Those counterbalance one another. Now, does anybody have any back or neck issues? Any physical ailments? Bill, what type of back or neck issues?
I just had a disc tucked down my neck.
You just had a disc tucked down your neck.
Still had a little pain from it.
Pain? What I just had you do, was that painful stretching or pulling at all?
Painful, but I could feel it.
Okay, good. You have any physical issues? No, you're good?
No, yeah.
You're good? Stretch? You're good? Okay. So when we do this, you'll feel some tension if you're not used to doing it. And when you bend over, this is going to help keep your back flat. Now the reason it's important to keep your back flat is because when we make our putting stroke, all we're doing is rocking our shoulders, okay? And if your back is rounded, it's harder to rock your shoulders and there's more vertical movement. Well, we don't want any vertical movement. We want to stay very level. So if we keep our back very flat and rock our shoulders, this will help us stay very level and have no vertical movement. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So this is very important to not have rounded shoulders and have your chin tucked down in like this, because then you're moving around too much, and now you're struggling to hit the sweet spot of the club. This is the same type of posture that you'll have on chipping and full swing. You want your back to be flat as possible to help you rotate cleaner and be able to hit the sweet spot of the club. Make sense? So that's the type of posture that we're looking for. Feet shoulder width apart, knees slightly flexed, and when we bend over to the golf ball, let's try and keep our back as flat as possible to help us stay athletic and react to the shot. Any questions about that? No? None? None? Okay. All right, guys. So far we've covered posture, grip, and alignment. Now the funny thing about posture, grip, and alignment is it's very important on every shot. And I've learned posture, grip, and alignment from other instructors and from my teachings on how to be a little bit more successful instructor. It's easy for you to remember it by remembering posture, grip, and alignment is the PGA. Posture, grip, and alignment. And that's going to help you remember to stay fundamentally strong on setting up to the golf ball. Okay. What I have set up here is a drill. Anybody ever seen this drill before? Anybody know? Really? Nobody's seen it before, really? This drill is known as the around the world drill, and it's just kind of like a basketball around the world. You shoot from the left corner, you shoot from the wing, you shoot from the top of the key, the other wing, and the other corner, right? Pretty simple. You're going to go all the way around the world. Now the reason this is important is because you're going to have an uphill putt, you're going to have a downhill putt, you're going to have a putt that breaks left to right, you're going to have a putt that breaks right to left. The challenging part to this drill is you can't quit the drill until you get all of them in the hole without missing. That's a good challenge. The reason that it's a challenge is because every day when you go out there to play golf, you're challenging yourself. How do I get better? How do I not miss this putt? How do I hit this shot better? Well, if you come over here and you just drop down 3 balls, which a lot of people do, and just hit them towards the target, okay, walk over, grab them, pull them back over, you're not really practicing. You're getting used to, making that same putting stroke every time, but you're not practicing with a purpose, and you're not gaining and focusing and gaining any golf skill. So what you're looking to do when you do this drill is you go all the way around. Maybe you do it with another buddy, and you say, hey, I bet you, a beer that we can get all these in the hole. All right, I can get them in the hole before you can, and you do that. Well, or you challenge yourself. I do it from 3 feet. You make them all the way from 3 feet, and you go back out to 4 feet and try to do it from 4 feet. This is a great drill. This drill is probably made famous mostly by a person named Phil Mickelson. I'm sure y'all heard of Phil Mickelson. This is probably one of his favorite drills to do, the around the world drill. And you would just walk up, like I said, hit the putt, miss it, pull it back, start over. And it doesn't matter if you miss it, this one, if you make that one, and then you miss this one, you would pull it back and start all the way over. You go all the way around trying to make these putts. Pretty simple drill. This drill is going to help you focus and make a lot of short putts. So when you get out there and you get all the way around, how do you think you're going to feel when you get to this putt?
You're going to say, oh, I hope I make it the first time.
Yeah, because you don't want to start all the way over, right?
Yeah,
Right? So there's your pressure. So if you play tournament golf at all?
no.
No tournament golf. So you play a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You play in a Sunday men's club,
Yeah.
right? So when you have that birdie putt, that 4-foot birdie putt on number 8, because you just hit it in there and you know it's got a sugar and maybe a skin coming, you get a little nervous.
Right.
Well, here's how you simulate that nervous feeling, right? If you stay true to yourself, if you miss it, you got to start over. You simulate that nervous feeling. This is a great drill to make you focus and make short putts. Makes sense?
Sure.
All right, gentlemen, we just walked away from the around the world drill, which is a short putt drill. It gives you the focus to try and make those 3 and 4 footers and give you more confidence and simulating a nervous feeling, a purpose of making all those putts without missing one. Well, now I have another drill to simulate distance putts to give you that same feeling. All right, what I have set up here is commonly known as a ladder drill. What I have set up here is a 3-foot putt, a 6-foot putt, a 9-foot putt, a 12-foot putt, and a 15-foot putt. Excuse me. Now, you can put these down and hit them towards this target all day long. But if I give you a goal and a purpose, it becomes a little bit more challenging. What's the goal when you have these putts, you think, Steve?
Make them.
To make them. So what's the ball have to do?
Get to the hole.
Has to get to the hole. So you ever seen a putt come up short and go in?
No.
No, never happened. So we have to get the ball to the hole. But Jim, we can get the ball to the hole every time, no problem. But what's the next problem?
Speed. Going too far.
Going too far past.
Yeah.
So now what I have set up here is a little bit of a drill to make you focus on a 3-foot putt to a 15-foot putt to get the ball to the hole or in the hole. If you hit the orange line, the putt went too far past and it's outside of our 3-foot circle over there, all those putts we just practiced on doing. It's outside of that circle. So now we want to try and keep it within that circle. So what we're looking to do is hit these putts and make them or get them to the hole without hitting the orange rod. And you would go through this drill to help you focus on your speed.
Next up on number 1 tee is Needy, Huntsman, Lang, and Walls. On deck, number 1 tee is Reiser, Diezig, Walters, and Lindsay.
That one should be short. Very good. That one comes up short, so what should I have to do, Stretch?
Start over.
Start over. So I got 3 in, 1 in the good, and I left the last one short, that 15-footer short, and now I have to start over. So it's the same type of drill to make you get nervous on that 15-footer to get it to the hole, but not blow it to the orange line. Because if you know it gets outside that orange line, it becomes missable, right? Pretty simple drill.
Sure.
Now the next part I'd like to talk about is just a little bit of some technique on how to make your putting stroke. So what I've given you all are some drills, right? And right now we haven't really talked to you all about individual putting stroke at all. I've shown you all some vanilla drills, some simple drills to help you become better putters and to try and influence you become nervous on the putting green while practicing and try to calm down your nerves and get used to simulating that tournament type of putt or your nervous type of putt. The next thing I want to talk about is how do we make a putting stroke, okay, which is a little bit more difficult. All right, so we take our same putting grip that we have, the same posture, okay. We're not going to worry about alignment, we're going to worry about the putting stroke, okay. Can anybody describe the putting stroke to me in words? Is there anything that sticks in your mind, what you're thinking about? Steve, is there anything that comes to your mind when you're trying to think about putting stroke?
Just swing through the ball.
Okay, go get through the ball.
Yeah.
Now, are you thinking about the club head going through the ball? Or are you thinking about something else going through the ball?
Club head.
Club head, okay. Bill, you think about anything
Well, like,
when making your stroke?
like an old wall clock, you know. You wanna-
Okay, good.
that's
Pendulum,
smooth.
right?
Yeah.
Pendulum. So you're thinking about the grandfather clock going back and through, back and through. Now the reason that's important is because he's going the same speed back and the same speed through. So you're getting a very consistent pendulum-like effect through the ball. Very, very good. Stretch, is there anything that you think about?
Yeah, I think about just going straight back and following through.
Straight back, straight through. So you're thinking about path. You're thinking about path more than anything. Is going back and through the path, trying to get the ball to go down the line. All right. Well, I want to try and give you all a few things that'll help you all execute those a little bit better. Steve, you said you like to think about the putter head coming through. I'd like to change that thought just slightly. Instead of the putter head coming through, I want you to think about your hands going back and going through. The reason being, Steve, because I want you to watch this real quick. We were talking about earlier, keeping the left wrist flat and getting it to go back and through to the hole, right? We want that left wrist to stay flat. So if we come back and stop, and this wrist does that, did my putter head come through? Yes, but I increased the angle of my wrist. So your thought of keep getting the putter head to come through is somewhat correct, but I want you to focus on your hands to come through the putt. So I want that left wrist to, there, very good. So your hands will go back and your hands will come through. Very good. All right, does that make sense?
Sure.
All right, very good. The reason that you want to do that, guys, by the way, is because when you rock your shoulders, right, and your hands are free flowing going back and through, you're using your big muscles to putt the ball. You're not using little muscles. Little muscles are twitchy. Big muscles are going to be a little bit more solid. So when you putt with just the thought of your hands going back and your hands going through, you're going to hit the ball more.
Up on number 10 tee is Rick Brown, Twosome, and Hayden.
If you take the putter back with your wrist and come through with your wrist, it's very inconsistent. So this is just a thought to try and, I'm not saying that you do putt with your wrist, but it's a thought to say, I want to limit any of that, eliminate all of that. So Bill, you have a good, solid thought there on your pendulum-like effect, right?
Yeah.
But I'd like to change that just slightly as well. We want to try and make it as consistent as possible, back and through, having that pendulum-like effect. But I want you to just think about this just a little. I want there to be just a little bit more speed coming through, just a tad. So if you take it back on a speed of 1, I want you to bring it back, or let me rephrase that, on a scale of 1 to 10, if you take it back on a speed of 5, I want you to come through on a speed of 6, on a scale of 1 to 10. So just slightly, gradually more acceleration. We always accelerate. It doesn't matter what shot you hit. If it's a putt, if it's a full swing, if it's a chip, you have to accelerate through the shot. So we want to always accelerate, and it's just going to be a gradual bit of acceleration. Now, if you take the club back on 5 and come through on 5, that's great. You're living in a perfect world, but it's hard to execute every time. But it's a little bit easier to accelerate. So if you can remember that, that'd be really, really good.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Now, Stretch, you were talking about going straight back and straight through. Now, Stretch is talking about the club path, going back and through. So that's what he's thinking about when he's putting, making his putting stroke. So if he's thinking about his line a lot, do you leave a lot of putts short or hit them too long?
Both.
So you're thinking more about the line, right, than anything. What do you think is more important, the line or the speed?
Speed.
That's right.
Speed.
Yeah, because it's really easy to hit it towards the target, but it's really difficult to get it to stop within that target. So it's more important to think about your control on distance control. Going back to Phil Mickelson as an example, he said he never misses a putt due to the line. He always hits his putts on line. He just misses them because he hits them too hard or too soft. So speed is probably the most important part when it comes to putting. Now, there is a combination there when you're putting, and that has to do with each personality. Each person's different. Some people are a little bit more aggressive than others. Some people are a little bit more conservative. So when you're diagnosing that with your line of playing your break, some people will see less break and hit it a little firmer, and it'll play that break. Or some people a little bit more conservative, hit it a little bit softer and hit it more break, and it'll break more. Does that make sense? Sure. Does everybody understand that? So when you're putting these balls, you know, you're playing in a scramble or you're playing with your buddies and you're watching them putt, and the ball breaks a lot or it doesn't break as much, it's very important that you understand that it's not so much that, well, his ball broke and mine didn't. Some people putt the ball slightly different, okay? So very important to try to remember speed, not just so much straight back, straight through. All of that is accomplished by, you know, good posture, good alignment, going back and through with your hands, not the club head, and just trying to rock your shoulders. Now the last key thing, have you ever taken golf lessons before, Steve, real quick?
10 years ago.
10 years? Can you think of a big, common thing an instructor told you to do while you were doing any of that? I haven't mentioned anything about this yet.
Well, when I took a lesson, they taught you different.
Okay.
You
So
know,
the instruction was different back
yeah,
then? Okay.
but it was, you know, hitting a driver, iron.
Well, we're going to get into that
It was
in
a
more
death
lessons.
grip.
We're going to get more. We're going to grip the club lighter, is what you were told?
No,
Oh,
grip it hard.
oh, grip it hard.
Grip it as tight as you could.
Okay. So we've changed that some, and we're going to get into all that stuff when we get to hitting full shots and chips and all those things. But Bill, is there anything that you think about that I haven't said today yet?
Well, you know, when you play with a lot of people, they go to putt. I've seen people with the putter way up here.
Very good.
I've seen some, you know, well, get the stance, but I mean, they'll be back here, but is it correct position? Basically in the center, you're
Correct. Good. So you're talking about ball position. So that's one thing that he's talking about, ball position. Where should the ball be in your stance?
I say off the left foot when you're putting.
Off left foot. Stretch, what do you think?
I'm thinking.
Inside left.
Okay. So I would encourage it to be middle or slightly in front of middle. So it needs to be in the middle of your stance or one ball forward. Does anybody? Let me show you what I mean by that, just so y'all can see it. So this golf ball right here, this one, would be in the middle of my stance. This one is no longer relevant because we're not going to have it back in our stance. We're going to have it in the middle or slightly forward. The reason being is because we're trying to roll the ball along the ground. If you have the ball positioned too far forward, this putter would be catching it on too much of the upswing. And therefore, when you catch it too much on the upswing, the ball is going to be lifted into the air slightly. So we want our ball position to be middle or slightly middle in front of forward and in front of middle to roll it well, okay? If you have the ball position too far back, the club will be coming down into the ball, pushing the ball into the ground, right? And therefore the ball will pop up into the air. Make sense?
Sure.
So it's a great question. Stretch, is there any other piece of instruction that you haven't been, that you've been told that you haven't heard
Well, I
today?
haven't been told. My biggest problem with putting is I catch the back of the putter. When I'm coming through, my eye catches the putter head. And for that split second,
You're looking at the putter head
throws
instead of the
me
ball?
off.
So, all right. Do you put a line on your golf ball?
Not really, no. I go by the logo.
Okay. Well, so do you line the logo up toward the target sometimes?
Pretty close to it.
Well, the thought process there is you're so focused on going straight back and straight through, you're worried about the line. So you're looking at the putter head traveling straight back. You shouldn't. If you set up correctly with good posture and good alignment, that putter head will travel along that line as long as you use your big muscles going back and through. All that will take care of itself. So what you should be worried about is the speed. That's why I like to use these yellow golf balls when putting to line that line up. Because now the only thing I have to focus on is my eyes focused on that line, going down that line. And the only thing I have to add to that is how hard do I want to hit it, right? So then I hit it towards my target because I had the line lined up. The only thing I have to focus on now is speed, okay? The last thing I was looking for, I was hoping one of you all would say, was head movement. As a golf instructor, I have heard many people always say, keep your head still. Hey, move your head should stay still. On putts, on chips, you're peaking, keep your head down longer, things like that. I don't like that term. The reason being is because your head's connected to your spine angle. If your spine angle changes, like I said, if we were rounded and we were to turn up, but my head's still looking down at the ball, right? My head's staying down, but my spine angle's changed. Your head moved, and people will say, keep your head down. Well, then all of a sudden you're moving and keeping your head down. You have no idea what's moving up. So if you top the shot or if you chunk the shot. So what we're looking to do is trying to keep the head level, okay? And keep it back and through on the same spot. So another good thought process, like I said, keeping the left wrist flat, but also keeping the back of your neck as still as possible. So if you think about keeping the back of your neck as still as possible, and Bill, I don't know if this will give you any aggravation in your neck from surgery, but try to give that a feel. If it feels uncomfortable, we'll try and find another avenue if you are feeling uncomfortable that way. But try and keep the back of the neck still and keep the left wrist flat going to the target like this, okay? Make sense? Guys, y'all have any other questions or comments about what we covered today so far? What we're going to do is we're going to let you all do these drills for a few minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with you all through the drills, trying to give you all some individual attention on the putts. Does that sound pretty good? Sure. All right. So if you notice, when you go back, feel that angle?
Yeah.
All right, now go back forward, slightly in front of your zipper. Now this wrist is flat, okay? And that's what you're looking to do. All right? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Remember this finger? We want that finger.
Yeah.
That's all right. Very good. So your grip's good there. Now let's try and... Now I really like the tempo on the takeaway, but I'd like to increase it, your tempo on the follow through.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to try and give you a little bit of a help here on increasing the speed on your tempo. Okay. So I want you to think about this for a second. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and try that. Thinking about that. 1, 2, 3. Very good.
Okay.
That was perfect. It was hit solid. So what you're looking to try and do, like we were talking about earlier, is trying to get the speed of your putting stroke a little bit more through, because you're thinking so hard on the line. Really think about the speed, because if you think about that speed, that will control, getting the ball to the hole without going too far past.
Gotcha.
So that first one you hit kind of weak, the next one you hit with a little bit more confidence. Plus, the free swinging of the putter will hit. You'll be 10 more to hit it in the sweet spot, which is very important.
All right.
All right, one more. One more. Stay exactly where you're at. Okay. Good. You want to line the line on the ball look for you? All right. Relax. Okay, no tension in your arms. Very relaxed. Very good stroke. All of this makes pretty simple sense, correct?
Sure.
And when I, when I broke down and was really showing it to you all, it made really great sense. But all of a sudden, when I remove these, can you still see the lines?
Sure. Well, pretty much so.
Okay.
But
Yeah, go ahead. Very good, very good. Now, how'd you feel about that putt? Was that good or bad?
hit the back of the tub.
That doesn't mean it's good or bad, right? I look for good or bad on every shot, even if it was in the hole.
The putter was a little bit bobbing.
Very good. You think that speed's too hard?
Yeah.
Okay, because it hit the hole and still ended up back here, so if it misses the hole completely, it's really going to go by, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try and soften it up just a little. All right, remember when we talked about posture, right? We want to try and have this back as wide as possible. So from here, can you feel this roundness that I'm moving my hand up, okay? That's all right. That's all right. Let's try it real quick. Stand a little bit more erect. Stand tall. Very good. All the way up. All the way up. Very good. Neck back. Try and get your shoulders not so much round. There you go. Does that feel uncomfortable? Yeah? Okay. All right. Now what we're trying to look for is bend from here and over to the golf ball. Very good. Very good. The reason this is important when you bend over the golf ball is what you're trying to do is get your eyes over the ball so you can see that line. Right? So you want your eyes over the ball. That's why we're looking for that bend. Okay? The ball position will be slightly forward of middle. Right there. Okay?
Okay.
And your hands will be in front of your zipper, slightly forward pressed. Right there. Very good. Good. Very good. Now the reason it's important to roll it with better speed, such as that one, is because if it catches the edge of the hole, it can fall in.
Right.
If you hit it too hard, it'll catch that edge sharply and miss. So what we want is the ball to kind of fall into the hole instead of banging into the back like that
Sure.
first one you made. That's why I said, did you like that putt? Because for me, it really kind of banged in a little too hard. Right, let's get your ball position just a little that way. So scoot your feet that way though. So, a little bit more. There we go. Now that puts your ball position slightly forward of middle. And then we want to lean your hands in front of your zipper. Right there. Very good. Very good, very good. Now, once again, the speed's just a little bit too much, right?
Right.
Last one. Okay, ball position will be, scoot your feet just a little bit more that way. Very good, very good. And then your hands will be in front of your zipper. So get both hands slightly in front. Very good, right there. Very good. Good, good. All right. Now, I will remind you that this is day one, and I
Right.
kind of just gave you some new things to work on.
Sure.
And they're simple things, but they still feel very uncomfortable. And when they feel uncomfortable, you lose confidence in what you're doing. I bet you if I gave you your golf ball, the way you wanted to do it, let you allow you putt it, you'd make more of them. But the problem is there the inconsistency there? And what we're trying to do is get a little bit more consistent. Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what you want out of your
Sure.
putting stroke and your golf swing.
Sure.
Okay. Any questions for me individually?
No.
No? So try to remember the ball position slightly in the middle of your stance and forward press some. to try and help you get the ball rolling towards the target a little better.
All right.
And try to get the ball on shoulder putt speed a little bit closer to the hole.
Okay.
Okay, good. Good.
Strong.
A little strong. And that pretty much, 2 of you guys were a little strong and the third was a little weak. Go ahead and set up to the putt again. Okay, so you asked me the question about ball position. We want it to be middle or slightly forward at middle. That's pretty good there, but I'm going to move it back just a hair to there. Okay? That's not a lot now, is it? Now the next big thing here, and I've had to do this with all 3 of you guys, is we want your hands to be slightly in front of your zipper. Okay? Hands are always in front of your zipper. It doesn't matter if it's a full swing or if it's a putt or if it's a chip. Hands in front of the zipper. Okay? Good. Good. No gaps in the grip. We want our fingers all together. But there you go. Very good. Very good. Perfect. All right. What do you notice about that one?
Raised up on, well, it felt good, but
Okay. Let's try it one more time. Very good. Okay. Hands are in front of the zipper. Very good. Now I want you to try to implement this into your putting stroke. This tempo. Listen very closely. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good. Excellent, Bill. So what we're looking to try and do is try and get that little bit of acceleration and that tempo to be consistent. That first one you hit was a little strong, the second one was kind of weak. What we're trying to do is get that forward press, think about that tempo, especially on these short putts, okay?
yeah.
All right?
I mean, I thought about asking that question earlier. I mean, you see a lot of people, they'll maybe slide the body a little bit.
Well, the reason that they do that, Bill, and that's a lot of people are instructed that way, to get their weight really hard to their left. I like the weight to be slightly forward, not all the way forward, like 60% on your left leg when putting. So it's slightly forward. What this helps you do is stay a little bit more skilled and also encourages you to get your hands a little bit more in front of the ball when you do that. Because if your weight's back behind it, your hands are back behind it. And if you look at the putter head there, look at the putter head there for a minute.
Yeah.
And when you get your weight forward, that gets the correct loft on the putt. So 60% on your left leg will be just fine. So that's a great question. But you know, try to think about that tempo on the putting stroke when you're rolling the ball on these short putts. Remember the forward press, that's very important. The reason that's important, Bill, is because most people think that the sweet spot is right in here, and it's actually about a groove higher. In order to hit the ball, in order to hit the club face to the back of the ball like that, you need that putter head to be slightly leaning forward and that shaft angle forward to get that sweet spot to be hit on the putter head.
Okay.
So it's very important to have your hands. And it's just like that full swing, getting your hands in front of the ball at impact. Same thing you're looking to do on your putt. Get your hands in front of it so that you impact the ball correctly.
Okay.
Very good?
Very helpful, Dave.
Good, Bill. All right, guys, what we're going to do is one last drill that I like to do before we go. If you notice, I have a towel set up quite a bit on the other side of the putting green. What I'm looking to do here is get the balls to get to the towel and stop on the towel. So this is just a drill that everybody can do with any equipment here. Okay, that's not bad. It's a little short. Get my hands in front of the ball and hold my phone until the ball stops. Getting it on that towel is very, very important because that gets you in or around the hole. On this length of putt, my objective isn't to make it. If I make it, that's great. But my objective is to get it in or on the towel. Now, that one's a little too hard. But to get it in or on that towel, so that way when I have that next putt, my so-called par putt or bogey putt, I'm making par or bogey. What you don't want to do on these type of putts is leave you that outside that orange line putt or outside that circle that we practice, leave you that length of putt, because that's how you 3-putt and make bogey or double bogey. And what we're trying to do is lower our scores, obviously. So speed is very important. Just taking a towel and throwing it down like that, trying to get the balls to stop on it, very, very crucial to making these 20, 30 footers.
Oh, I sure appreciate Dave's instruction. I've never learned all this.
Well, I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Thank
And
you.
I hope you're enjoying it. And if you have any questions, I'm always here to answer them, because what we're looking to try and do is, get you a little bit more consistent and that way when you get out here and you can take Billy's money, you know, we don't
Yeah.
want you losing to Billy no more.
Oh, okay.
Okay.